corner. No, I can't see anything. Oh,
Now.
okay. It says the broadcast is live.
Yeah. We have new guests who might not be familiar with going live yet. All right. Good morning, everyone. So
Morning.
today is going to be a podcast on educate in school or from home. This is based on my own personal curiosity of how teachers have been managing teaching and learning in 2020 since it's such a roller coaster ride. With me here today is Teacher Jess Young and Madam Mok. All right. So I'll let Madam Mok introduce herself first. Let us know her expertise, her years of experiences, who she has been teaching, how many on average does she need to handle at one time, and then what she thinks is the level of motivation and accessibility her students have. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Juin. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You know my name already. It's there stated. Uh, I've been teaching for a good many years, like more than 30 years. Yeah. But I started teaching Muet in 1999 when it was first incepted in Malaysia. Okay, during the inception, 1999, and so it's been like how many years now? More than about 20 years, teaching Muet, and my students are basically average and below average. Yeah. So let's fast forward to present day. Yeah. Now, um, I have actually large classes because we don't have enough Muet teachers. So on average, I have three classes of upper six, in which I combine them into one. So I have 32 students uh, to to learn online with me, and I have three lower six students, lower six classes, meaning three lower six classes, and a total of 41. So that means if I have two lessons a day, that is on Wednesday, I would have about 70 over students to handle.
At
Okay.
one time.
I mean, like one in the morning and another class
Oh,
in the evening.
okay. In a day lah. Yeah. Then you need to
Yeah.
handle 70 students.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Teacher Jess, or as I would call her, Tong, across the conversation.
Okay.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Yes, I'm Jess, or yes, Hang Tong. You can call me Tong also. I taught about 8 years now, and then what was the question again? On average, I have about 100 students. I have two Form 4 classes and two Form 5 classes. So I mainly teach English and Sejarah or history.
Oh, what a combination! What a
Yeah,
combination! And sejarah in Malay, right? Oh my God.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So MBM, MBI is
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a
fully
challenge, right?
fully
Tung? It's a
practiced.
challenge.
Yeah, and then now she also has to be a learner herself and take exams for
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
your
I'm
EMR.
going to take a MUET next
yes,
year.
yes, yes. Okay.
An
I
educator
heard,
actually.
yeah, I heard that Juin gave you the link to the YouTube. I
Oh,
mean,
yes. I asked her.
yeah, it's long because I was given 2 hours and I was told to like do it all like at one go and sit. That's
Never
why
mind.
it's
I'll
so
just study in front.
Never
Can.
mind, we can do it better. I was telling Tong that I would like to help you digitize your resources before you retire.
yeah, maybe we can do that.
It'll be
Yeah.
very,
Okay.
All
it'll be
right.
great.
So yeah, so that is on digitizing resources, which would lead us to then understanding as a teacher this year, especially I think
Mm.
maybe a lot of teachers have already started using like online learning, trying out digital learning, putting stuff on different platforms, whatnot. But I think a lot of teachers who are not familiar with that is also forced into doing online learning this year.
Definitely.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, correct. So would like to ask your experiences on digital learning, like online learning, whether you have tried it or are you the teacher who has been forced into it this year? and then go through your experiences of how you have usually done your learning delivery, your assessment, and then compared to now what you have to do, especially in lockdown when you can't even go to school. So like a classroom situation is non-existent now. Everything has to be digital. So yeah. So what's your experiences for this year? Yes, take it away, mommy.
Who would you like to start first?
Yeah, we'll go with you first lah. We'll let the senior teacher lead.
Oh, okay. Well, of course, I have always been teaching at like face-to-face level, yeah. So suddenly, in March this year, right, I
Yes.
was sort of propel fast forward, yeah, into online teaching.
Yeah.
Anyway, I took it as a challenge because basically I'm uh, I'm quite good. I wouldn't say I'm very good. I'm quite good with the computer, and I've been always producing materials using my laptop. PowerPoint slides and things like that. So I'm actually very familiar with the keyboard and
Okay.
some of the programs that I can use for my students. So it was just another level, meaning how to go about going to Google Classes and all that. So I've actually tried out Google Classes, Google Classroom. I've gone into my Google Classroom, sort of like explored. I explored.
Yeah.
Now, initially, the teachers were trained to use Google Classroom. But this kind of thing where you have this lad up, yeah, where I lad up in school, where the teachers sit in the hall and there are like 160 of you sitting there and watching, the facilitator telling you that, and we were all not online. Can you imagine? We were all not online. None of us had any lines at that time in the hall. So it's like you are exploring A, I'm exploring B. It's all a mess. Okay.
Yes.
So after that, it was crucial for the teachers to actually explore this on their own. So I did. Okay, I did. And I find that it was a bit difficult doing Google Meets with my student. I can't do that basically because the students told me that they have problems with their line,
Yeah.
even with their
Yeah.
phones they come, yeah, they have problems with their
Mm.
lines. Some of
Mm.
them are sharing a laptop with the sisters, the siblings, is it, or the Form 5 sister is doing some work and then she has
Yeah.
to wait. And then I
Mm.
have students who actually they don't have Wi-Fi at home, and they
Mm.
need to borrow their dad's hotspot. And then on that day, the dad will have gone out to town bringing his phone, so they have no hotspots. So these are all the problems, yeah.
Wait,
But I think it's still
how did you
okay.
find out about all these things? So how did you find out about
I
this
asked
device?
them.
So was that the first thing you do? Was it
Hmm?
the first thing you did when this
What do you
started? So no, was that the first thing you did when this
I
started?
started
So
with a WhatsApp group.
you
I
started with a
started a
WhatsApp group
WhatsApp group.
in
Yeah,
March. Okay.
we actually have WhatsApp group. We actually
Yeah.
have WhatsApp groups.
Mm.
Like daily we already have before the MCO, before the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
We
Mm.
actually have teachers, most of us have our own groups. Of course, the form teachers will have a group, but for
Yeah.
me, I still form a group, so that I can communicate with them somehow. Sometimes
Mm.
I need to tell them certain things, but it wasn't
Yeah.
very regular. The communication was
Okay.
just on
Okay.
and off. Okay, so with the WhatsApp group that I started, so I realized that it was a bit difficult for the students because they didn't have it on the laptop. So when I send things to them on with WhatsApp, some of them they cannot
Yeah.
open the files and all.
Yeah.
And then I switched to
Mm.
Telegram. So I switched to Telegram, and I found that Telegram is much easier, and probably they say it's easier for them to download, and then somehow the files are not going to clog their or
Yeah.
clutter their,
Yeah. Because everything is
whatever.
on
Yeah.
track. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's on cloud, right? So I switched to Telegram. All right,
Mm.
meaning to say I could still manage with Telegram very easily, and I find that that is the best platform, for me right now.
Mm.
Uh, Over to you, Sintong. Let's go to Sintong. Yeah,
No,
I shouldn't be talking.
Yeah,
No,
but
no,
Tong,
no, no, no,
Tong
no.
has experience of Google Classroom as well. Yeah, okay, Tong. Then what do you think? So are you Madam Monk is the one who got propelled into having to use Google Classroom, having to use like online learning with her kids. Although communication space was already there. So are you also the teacher who got
Yeah.
forced into online learning, or were you already familiar with it sort of before this? Were you already practicing blended learning with your students?
Well, I think I share like similar situation with Madam Mok as well because initially most of the time we have the privilege to like go physical and face to face with the students, right? So whatever extra classes and any meetings and gatherings or like tutorial classes, we can just ask the kids to like stay after school or like
Mm.
arrange another time for them to come back to school. So most of the time we actually we don't really have to use like online learning, which is like those platform like Meet and whatnot. But
Mm.
previously, before that, before like Google Classroom is being introduced as another virtual learning environment that we are suggested to use as well. So I've been using that back in my previous school. So after I got transferred to the new school, that's when I think somewhere around like halfway, Google Classroom's been introduced. But different
Mm.
with Madam, our training, the training that is given is actually quite brief. So the teachers were only like told that, oh, you have to set up the Google Classroom ID, then you have to assist the students, then afterwards you have to set a class and
Mm.
invite your students in. So that was what's been given only. So like when the MCO started like earlier this March, right? So the
Mm.
whole school initially was like, oh, okay, what should we do and things like that, and then Google Classroom's been asked to like actively used. But the problem that arises also was because the students they forgot their ID, they forgot their password, and then that's the time where teachers kind of like some of us were having trouble trying to like sign them into the Google Classroom because they have to access to the Google Classroom to access to a lot of other features, assignments that are being assigned by the teachers and whatnot. But previously, similar like Madam Mo also, we have like groups. Like for myself, I have created groups. Even though another friend of mine found out that you guys actually have like groups or like WeChat, such like private groups or chats with your students. That's against the law actually in America. So I was like, but that's how we communicate with
But we're not
students.
Oh,
American.
really?
We're not in
Yeah,
Yeah,
America.
I didn't know that. I didn't
yeah,
know it's
my
illegal.
yeah, and it's not
Really?
illegal in that sense. Then I was like, I launched into an argument with my friend. I was like saying, no, we disseminate like information, we reach out to them. So that proves like it's actually quite helpful like at times like this where we can actually like reach out. But in my school, my new school, most of the kids they use WeChat. So I was forced to download another WeChat application and try to like yeah hover around, explore myself. So yeah.
Oh, my students
Mm,
will use WhatsApp and mostly
mm,
WhatsApp, but then I force them to use Telegram, and they're all very comfortable with Telegram now.
mm.
Because
Yeah,
they're both quite similar kind of communication space.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually. But then the
Mm.
thing about like learning online also like because different teachers have the tendency to like use different platforms also. So
Yeah.
sometimes like what they not say that they are sharing devices or like they share like one phone within like those underprivileged schools, right? Like what I've heard from my previous school. So it's a challenge for them because they have like not enough phone data
Mm.
phone storage, so they have to
Yeah.
download like a few applications. So sometimes they just like turn off and then like lost motivation, and then especially during the beginning of the MCO where everyone is trying to get used to like the learning trend of like being digital and being online is there, but it's
Mm.
not as much being highlight as to when MCO landed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, everyone is like, oh, suddenly everywhere is like it's everywhere. So like I was overwhelmed at first also, like facing the screen like
Mm.
throughout the
Mm.
day. Yeah. So those are
Yeah.
the challenges. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. Lah.
Yeah, I also have the same problem because the students were like, they told me also they were overwhelmed. In fact, of course, during the first MCO, they suffered. So when I asked for their responses every time, after my online lessons in Telegram, I asked
Mm,
them to record their voices and tell me what have you learned during this pandemic, and then they will express their feelings, and then all of them would say that they miss their friends in school. They really hate all these things. So I
mm,
use that as sort of kind of weapon to tell them when we came back after that. When we came back after the MCO and went back to school, I told them,
mm,
please, social distancing, please, so that we don't have any more MCO. We don't want that to happen again. And they were all
Yeah,
saying, yes, we don't want it. But the
yeah,
moment it was declared, the students were so sad, and they were all sending in all these tearful, emoticons into the Telegram,
yeah,
saying that they
yeah,
were like,
yeah.
oh, yeah, they're so sad. They're so sad,
Oh,
But then they
okay.
say, never mind, teacher, we still have to carry on,
yeah.
Oh, but my
they're very
kids,
good. My kids are good kids, lah. They are
Your
not very good academically, but they are good kids. Yeah,
me
but
your video is
okay,
tilting a little lower. You're
yeah,
only seeing
oh,
half your face.
you need to
You have to
tilt
turn
your
it
all
up.
right,
camera.
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah. So then that is everyone is struggling. That's why when I was thinking about this, I'm like, it's going to be such a huge hit for teachers because one, teachers need to deal with like what you said. Like Tong, you have to deal with 120 students, and that
Yeah,
is
Tong, I
in
cannot
group.
imagine.
Yeah, in groups or individually. Okay, so that's two different things. So individual can be a preference as well, but there's still a lot of students to deal with. And then
Sure.
for students
Yeah.
themselves, now you're breaking into individual subjects, which doesn't seem so
Yeah.
apparent when you're in school because teachers would come to you, right? But now you would
Yes.
Yeah,
have to meet the kids halfway. So then now you have like multiple chat groups with your teachers, and then if you need to multiple chat groups with your peers as well. So yeah, I
correct.
can understand. It's gonna be overwhelming for everybody lah. Yeah. So
But
then
Yeah,
some of
very
the
difficult.
kids in my school, they were like, "Oh yes, teacher CMCO." Then they get to like have holiday. I was like, "Oh, so sad." But then yeah, I think they're looking forward to that kind of holiday. I was like, "No, don't joke
Oh,
about things like this."
yeah.
Yeah, some of my kids actually they joked about it. I'm not sure whether they joked about it or they really have the intention about that. But I was like, yeah,
Yeah, because
either
I
way.
think I think for both teacher and student, maybe more, even more so for student, is like when you go into online learning, technically it feels like you have a space that is like your own. So then you can have a choice of like, oh, I don't want to go to school, Whereas in school you don't have a choice because you're physically there. So I don't know whether students' concept of school is like, oh, when it comes to learning, you have to be physically there in school. School is the space where you learn. If you're at home, you have a choice to I don't want to do my homework or like I want to just chill first. So then there's
Yeah,
this gap between
yeah,
learning is all the time anywhere, but no,
yeah,
learning is
yeah.
no learning is in school. I need to go and attend school, take my
Yeah.
attendance, then that counts as learning. But if it's at
Yeah,
home,
yeah.
no. Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
there's the man being set already, right? Since their young
yeah,
age, that they have to attend to like a physical space, then only that's considered as
correct,
learning.
correct. Yeah. So
Yeah.
digital space doesn't what's that?
Look
Doesn't
into their
register
own
as
work.
like, oh,
Yeah,
also a
yeah.
classroom. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes.
That's why
Uh,
students always, still will come in late. They will come in late because the alarm clock didn't ring,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
they like,
I
yeah. A lot of students who always oversleep and then they come late
I
into
have to
class.
like call some of them, right? Like, oh, do you need me to call you up the next day? Like
Yeah,
this seriously cannot wake up. Oh
yeah.
goodness.
Now teachers have to provide morning calls also.
Yo.
yeah.
At
In fact,
the telescope.
it was very funny. It happened. It happened in the last MCO, because I'm teaching Moet, right? So we have speaking activities. So I was thinking, oh my
Mm,
God, what am I going to do? So what I did
mm,
was I formed groups of fives, meaning
mm.
four of them in one group with me in their group. So I have like 8 or 9 WhatsApp groups, okay, with the students in their own group. So I will ask them to, like I'll call, video call, and then when you remember when WhatsApp changed to eight people, initially there
Yeah.
were 4, right? So it was very difficult. I couldn't go in. I didn't try it, but the moment it was announced that you can actually have 8 people to chat in WhatsApp. So I was very happy, and then we started. So you see, one morning I was doing this, and these boys, I call the boys because I wanted to see what they are doing, you know. So I joined that group, and you know what? They were all like on their bed. These boys were all like, you know, they were all like rubbing their eyes. I could see the pillow because I think they were sleeping with their phones. And then the moment I called them, and they all look at the phone, but I could see all three of them, you know. I could see their pillows because they were just on their bed. So imagine, so like they were all like, you know, like suddenly very confused of what's happening, you know. You see,
Still mama, still
yeah,
mama.
yeah. So that is like, I believe now that my students are actually on their bed when they attend my class.
Yeah.
You see or
Yeah,
not?
yeah,
So
Mm.
yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
don't sit at the table, you know, properly get
Mm,
ready. No, they are like
yeah,
here and there. One of them was
Mm.
actually on the way to JPJ with his dad, and he was
mm.
using his phone in the
Oh,
car, trying
okay.
to, you know, do
Oh,
my work in the car. Yeah,
yeah.
so
Mm.
that is actually now, yeah, mobile learning. Definitely, they are all over the
Yes.
place.
Mobile learning. Yes, yes. Pros and cons.
Yeah.
Yes,
The thing
and
is
on
because
their
no,
bed. Toilet
yeah,
as well. One of them could be
no
in
one
the
has really
toilet with the phone.
that's oh my
Yeah,
God.
Yes, I was like, I
The
had to
at least
remind
they're
my kids, you know, like, please do not bring your phone to the toilet, please. Yeah.
in case
lah,
somebody video calls you, right? Oh my
that's
God.
why don't
Yeah.
say students lah. Okay, you have seen across during the lockdown, maybe not in Malaysia but other countries, even adults, corporate workers as well have done such mistake of like
Yeah,
bringing
yeah.
their
Yeah.
phone to the toilet or whatever it is.
Fully
Yeah,
So embarrassing.
utilizing the term mobile
yeah,
learning.
mobile. Yeah, yeah. Everyone really
Okay.
just took mobile as per like what it is defined. Like mobile means anywhere, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's no proper framework or regulation on how
Correct.
an
Yeah.
online classroom should be.
Mm.
And
You can't
perhaps there's
control
something
what
that,
the kids are doing at home. You can't.
mm,
They know the timetable, but you can't control their movement also,
correct,
right?
correct, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you can just follow the parents somewhere. They just bring their phone. So long
yeah,
as they
yeah.
enter class, so long as they're in my class, I'm fine. Wherever they are, I don't mind. But they will tell
Yeah.
Mm,
me if they're late or if they have an appointment at the hospital, you know. So and
mm,
then they will say it's okay. You can send the work to me like tonight or the next day. So that is
mm,
Mm,
where flexibility comes in, which is fine.
mm,
mm,
Which is
mm.
yeah.
fine with me.
Okay, so then talking about visibility, then you go into all this lah. So mobile seems to be anytime, anywhere, and then now it seems
Yeah,
like because of accessibility issues, you also have a lot of asynchronous learning. So you cannot do it at the same time anymore. Not as per what it was last time. Everyone is at the same time at the same place, then
yeah,
everyone together. You know. So now you have
true.
to change your pedagogical practices because of that. So then yeah, then going into this anytime anywhere mobile learning, asynchronous learning, so how have you been managing all your learning assessments? How have you been managing your learning delivery for your students, or getting stuff back from them, submissions, all those? So how have you been experiencing and managing all this?
Oh, okay. Of course, before the MCO, for face to face is very easy. It's just pen and paper, where you tell
Yeah.
Yeah.
students to work, and then or you use mahjong paper. They do group work, you know, and then you just
Mhm.
mark that. So there are all these various very basic things, But
Yeah.
once we started MCO, it has become like a very 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 time consuming affair. Okay,
Mm.
let me give you an example. I have my lessons are all 1 hour because
Mm.
my school has arranged for the teachers to teach for 1 hour because they have
Yeah.
Mm,
three subjects a day. So 3 hours for the students, 1 hour for me. Now, within that 1 hour, I would have given work to them. So my instructions will now be different. Okay. So I may sometimes use my voice to give instruction, or
Mm.
I can actually, I do actually put everything on PowerPoint. Okay. And then I will share the PowerPoint with all the instructions there. If I
Mm.
want them to speak back to me in the
Mm.
voice message, I'll state, okay, so and so, so and so, you must answer in your voice. So and so,
Mm.
so and so, you answer in writing. So all this must be very clear, given
Mm.
online because it's online, right? So I've learned that I can do so. Okay,
Mm.
and then the students will send back the work to me, but privately.
Mm.
Okay, privately most of the time. If I want to access them, I will ask them to PM me to my Telegram.
Mm. Mm.
Okay, on Word document, or they type out the answers. Simply because if they share in the group, everybody will see the
Yeah.
answers, right?
Yeah.
Then they copy. All right. So there are different ways of assessment. So on a certain day, I want to assess their speaking. So I want them to speak into the Telegram. Okay. Let's say for not more than 2 minutes. They must record the voice. I give them tasks. I give everybody different tasks, different statements, like what
Yeah.
did you learn, something interesting, and blah blah blah. So they have to send in the voice. So that
Oh,
is
wow.
when sort of assess them also, in the pronunciation and all
Mm.
that, and then correct them using my voice as well. So
70
that is the
individuals.
yes. But then if I want them to write something, they send into my Telegram or they email me. Some of them email me. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I will use words and then I will comment. I comment on their work. Okay.
Mm.
Sometimes I do track changes, but I don't want to correct the work in that way. So initially I did track changes, so I sort of corrected for them, and then later I decided not to, so I use comments. So I
Mm.
write comments on the words, and the students actually they said they could understand, because after every response that I give to my students, I want them to comment on the day's activity. I say, what do you think
Mm.
of today's lesson? So I have students telling me, teacher, I'm giving you 10 over 10 today. You know that kind? Yeah. And
Oh,
then they say, yes, I have students telling me, one Chinese girl, her name is Lala. She's very cute. My lower six
oh,
girl. Teacher, I gave them a PowerPoint actually last week, okay, a PowerPoint for reading comprehension, in which I actually highlighted all the words that I wanted them to learn, the G's and things like that, explanation of every paragraph, inserting my voice in the PowerPoint slides. So I spent a
oh,
lot of time working on the slides, so they just have to view my slides that day. So in total, it was about 9 minutes. Okay, the slides, just 9 minutes. They go through. So every slide would contain the paragraph and then some questions as well. One question, MCO.
Mm.
I mean, not MCO, MCQ. Okay, and then
Yeah.
yeah. So after that, I asked the students, what do you think of this activity? So that's
Mm.
when they assess, the students themselves evaluate my activity. So
mm,
Lama said, teacher, I know you must have spent a lot of time doing the slides, because you gave us 9 slides, and you explained everything, and it was so clear to us. Teacher, I'm giving you 10 over 10. Like,
Mm.
so I get very.
oh,
Yes. So it's good. The thing is, like, now, the kind of assessment I want to do would be varied. Now it's like more than ever, more than before. You see, there are
Mm.
different ways you can assess them now. Whereas
Mm.
in class, let's say in class, if I get their essays, I will
mm,
just collect all 41, right? And then take back
Yeah.
take back to mark. So I won't
mm,
have any time. The next lesson, let's say I come back, if I manage to mark 15, I can't even call these 15 kids together and tell them the mistakes, because
yeah,
I don't have,
yeah,
the others will be waiting in the class, right? I
mm,
can't.
mm,
Whereas online, if you are willing to sacrifice your time,
Mm.
then you can actually give personal guidance. And I have been doing that. That's why I say I'm like all the while in my this study room, facing my laptop, looking at my
mm,
students' work, correcting them,
yeah,
commenting, giving them examples. So I feel that with the MCO and online learning, I
mhm,
have been able to actually give very personal guidance to all my students.
Mm.
But
oh,
the factor now is time. Okay?
Yeah.
mm,
If you are
Yeah.
willing to sacrifice your time, even middle of the night, because I have students standing in the work after 12 o'clock, midnight,
oh,
after
yeah,
1. One
mm,
boy even
mm,
sent me at 3 a.m. So the next day I asked him, Shama, I noticed you send me your email at 3 a.m. And he told me, teacher, I have a lot of problems at home, and I have many siblings to take care of. The only
Mm.
mm,
time I'm free is after 12 to do
mm,
Mm.
my school and my assignments. So I say, okay, Shawal, take your time. If you have any problems, just let me know. So the students actually
Mm.
communicate more than ever before. Compared to those days, face to face, we don't communicate that way. But with
Yeah.
mm,
this, with online learning, I have become very close to my students. personally, everyone would PM me, they would talk to me, they would comment on the lessons and all that. And I think
Mm.
there is actually a plus point here, it's
Mm.
very positive. Take it positively, it is positive. Okay?
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I always believe in balance lah. So I feel like when you lose something, you would gain something. There would always
Yes,
be
you gain
pros and
more.
cons
In
to
fact,
mm.
this
everything.
one you gain
Yeah,
more. I feel that I've gained more, and my students have improved.
is it?
The way they write, the way they write the sentences
Yeah,
in the telegram, I can see that they're writing so much better now,
that's
so
good.
much better.
A lot more practice.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I tell you, they have all improved. Even in the speaking, when they pronounce the words, like that, words like with the ed, they said,
No.
you can hear the t sound, that you can hear the t sound when they use
Oh,
the past tense. I mean, it's so
oh, that's fine.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Now
We
I
have
want
to
to
take it
hear.
positively. People don't complain so much, Take everything that is positive,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Okay,
Mm.
now I want to know whether Tong feels the same way. So, do you think that you have gained a lot more because of online learning? So, what have you? So, just share your experiences first. How have your content delivery and learning assessments been? So, what have you seen in terms of how you provide feedback to the students, in terms of how you gain submission? Perhaps even just engaging your students. Are they even like engaging with your lessons and all those things? And then let's share what you think about now teaching from home.
My personal experience, somewhat slightly similar with Madam Mox as well, in terms of like collecting feedbacks and then, but I feel like the the presence of being like face to face is much better than as I were to compare to the MCO, the lockdown.
Mm.
Um, so for example, like in school, if let's say I collect like their writing assignments, I'll put like I gave them choices. So would you like me to like just give you an average band gauge, or would you like me to like correct your mistakes? So they would they chose the latter. So I would like personally like check the work. But when MCO landed, I think that was my bad as well as for planning, because I have so many different Gmails, like my personal Gmail and also my work Gmail. So they send to like different places, so it's a bit like decentralized. So it makes
Mm.
my work hard a bit, and then to suggest like the improvements and all. So it was a bit taxing for me to like stare at the screen for such a long time to like check their um, work and whatnot. And then because I communicate with them like through groups, so most of the time I posted things in the group, but they tend to. I'm not sure whether they actually receive the messages or not
Mm.
at the beginning of the MCO. So I was at a loss, and then I was like frustrated. I was getting frustrated also because this is my good class also. Like regardless of like good or bad, you should have like the courtesy. Perhaps they are not sure, but they should have like the courtesy to like reply to whatever we message them, right? It's only natural when people like that's when I assume. So and then I was like in this frustration, like why are they not responding to me? Are they actually like are they in the loop, or are they like falling behind, but they can't reach out to me or things like that. Then
Mm.
afterwards I was like ranting to like a few of my good friends, like the host, and then she was like, why don't you like try to like ask them like personally. So before that I did not think of like feedback like Google form, or like feedback after the activities that I've given them as compared to now, because everything in the classroom we can actually gauge based on their like body language, whether they understand and or cannot understand and things like that. But
Mm.
with this MCO, like everything is online, everything is like facing devices. I can't see their motions. I can't really like speak to them personally. So I was at a loss. So afterwards, I was like thinking, oh, okay. After like listening from suggestions from friends, right? So I was like, I texted them. Then I found out like some of them actually like have problems of like, oh teacher, actually I have like a internet connection problem, I can't actually sit in the classes. And then because the only back then the only way that I could think of is through online learning where we could like gather together and then learn like normal physical classes, but
Yeah.
transferred, yeah, to digital,
Correct.
digitalize it only. But then never thought of like, oh, okay, this asynchronous thingy can come in, and then yeah, it was quite stressful for me back then. But yeah, where was I again? What was the question about? Yeah. So
No, yeah,
and
so
then
yeah, the experience.
and then I do use Google Slides and all, but I didn't think of like what Madam Mock uses. So I'm going to steal idea from her, which is really cool. But you
Yeah,
could you could
the
actually
PowerPoint
enable
slides
them
where you
to like,
set your voice.
yeah, where you actually don't necessarily have them to like log in, like be there and use their data, but they could like learn it at any time.
Yes.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but there was the challenges that I faced lah back then, and then as compared to like the previous one, now I've improved. At least I get them to like answer the exit ticket more uniformly so that they could provide me feedback like, is this class effective? So I'm trying like slowly to use like a central learning platform, which I learned from Future Lab together with Joey. So there's this like central learning that I have to share. So I realized that very clear instructions, like what Madam Mock used also, like very clear instructions is very crucial during
Mm.
this like online learning thingy where they have to be clear on like what they have to do,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
then where they could refer to for
Yes.
resources. So
True.
yeah, the very first like MCO, I was like, oh, like so stressed also. And then some of the kids, they were just like they're already like left behind in terms of like their academic,
Yeah.
and then because of this online MCO and because of like their lack of accessibility online, so they would rather choose to like go to work, plus their family is not very well off
Mm.
as well, so they have to like help
Yeah.
help out. So during that time when there should be learning, they chose to go like working instead, that I
Yeah.
found out after only when I approached them personally. So they wouldn't like share in the group, or they wouldn't like PM me until like I
Mm.
approach them, which is
Yeah.
time consuming on my part as well, because there are so many kids, and then sometimes I tend to like follow up with this, but then they don't respond like immediately, right? So sometimes like after you ask a few other kids, right, you forget to like follow up with the other because the list of the chat is already like so long. Then
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
like afterwards, oh, I forgot to follow up with this kid. So it's actually quite challenging for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
that's a then good connector to the next thing. So you were mentioning about
Well,
tracking. You were mentioning
yeah.
about
Well,
tracking. Oh,
hang on.
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
I was saying just now, with online lesson, we have to be very positive. Of course, like you say, you
yeah.
have to, you think that, okay, there are things that can happen online, but not offline when you are
Mm,
doing face to face with them, right?
yeah.
But I would
Yeah.
still say that, Jin Hong, I'm actually
Mm,
with you because
mm,
there is, I mean, nothing is better than having face to face contact with your students. Because in the
yeah.
class,
Yeah.
if I do, even when I do group work, when I ask the students to write, let's say one paragraph on mahjong paper in a group of four,
Mm,
let's say,
mm,
and then they
mm,
display their answers. All right. What I do is I ask the students to exchange their papers, and then they mark each other's work. You
Mm.
know, so
mm,
so it's
mm,
like, you know, you can identify, okay, identify for which group is doing who. So they are
mm.
all like communicating, they're interacting, and you are there to see them. So
Mm.
of
Mm.
course, face-to-face lessons are
It's
still
much
so
better,
much
right?
better than online.
Yeah.
But like we,
Yeah.
maybe if there is
We have
this
no
balance
choice.
between the two, you have
Yeah.
online, like, you know, maybe,
Yeah.
1 or 2 months, and then you have 1 or 2 months face-to-face, and then you go back online again. I think maybe that
Yeah.
kind
Mm.
of
Mm.
arrangement can work, for future.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
Yes.
have to spend so much time in school, meaning you
Yes.
can
Yes.
still be
Yes.
at home. So I think probably we could go towards that kind of a scenario,
Yeah.
right? That means you don't have to
Yeah.
have exactly how many days in school, right? Maybe
Yes. Yes.
70 in school and 70 at home. I think,
Yeah.
but I don't know whether
Yeah.
the parents will like it or not. Yeah, but for us, it's still okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the managing lah. It's the managing part that needs getting used to, I think, for
Mm.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Mm.
right. Yeah, because you were mentioning things like what's it called, personalized feedback, right? So having that space at home allows you to do that. But of course, like Tong was saying, visual cues are actually very, very strong indicator of learning as well. So then having that face to face, like seeing them smile or seeing them frown, you can already use that as an assessment to know that, okay, you know, you're struggling, or like, oh, you're getting it, you know. And that's very fast visual cues that you can then use to assess your students and review your students and then analyze, and then straight away just, okay, next intervention, this is I'm going to do. It's very, very fast. Whereas when you
Yeah,
fully rely
Juin,
on this
but
person,
Juin, on
yeah,
the positive side, as an English language teacher, I would say that if I make the students go online and write me the comments and all that,
yeah,
so indirectly actually it helps them also. So at the
Yes,
same
yes,
correct,
time, you see, I have 31 people responding to me
yes,
in
yes.
writing or in
mm,
voice. But if I do it face to face in class, I only have one student speaking and the rest are quiet. You
Yes,
see?
yeah,
yes, correct,
So, but if
correct,
you
correct,
in
correct.
Telegram, I say, okay, everyone, I want all of you to write your comments now and send in. So
mm,
everybody is actually commenting and responding
yeah,
and writing.
yes,
You
correct,
see?
Yes,
correct,
yes,
So
yes,
there is
correct,
actually
correct.
there is always like a silver lining, you know.
yeah,
For
Yes,
whatever
yes,
problems we face, you look
yeah,
at the positive aspect, they will be there.
correct,
That's why we say as teachers, we shouldn't be complaining too much. Whatever it is, we really need very flexible, very
yeah,
yes,
eclectic,
yeah,
very
yes,
adaptable, and you
yeah,
yeah,
have to be very creative, okay, and
yes,
innovative, and think ahead what the students will
correct, correct.
do. If you do this, what they will do, and then if you do
Yes,
this, then how they would respond. You can actually predict. Okay,
yeah,
mm,
so that being teachers,
yeah.
yes,
That's
think
why
for
there's always
possibility, right?
there's pros and
that's
cons,
why I
lah.
love teaching. That's why I don't want to retire.
Yeah, true,
I can
true.
go on. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that's an interesting thing to mention as well, because then now we have two things. Although I still want to know about tracking, because Madam Mok, you say you can get 31 students to, like, reply to you, whereas Tong, you were mentioning that you were struggling sometimes as well to get your students, and then you actually need to go and like follow up and check on them, and then sometimes you lose track of who you have followed up. So would love to know in terms of tracking, the way you have been managing your tracking for your students to then make sure that you have kept up with everyone,
Mm.
especially now that you need to do like asynchronous or like even personalized learning.
Mm.
You're showing me your chart.
Can you see me doing?
Yes, yes, I can.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
my telegram, I would have I don't delete any of the mails, or any of
Mm-hmm.
the messages. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then here, there's another one. So when they come in, I would take the
Uh-huh.
attendance, and then the work. You see, then I'll send back
Uh-huh.
notice. If I give them
Uh-huh.
reading comprehension, how many correct answer, how many wrong answer, and all that. All the
Mm-hmm.
stars that you see here, the stars are
Mm-hmm.
the random students. Okay, like today, random. These are the students
Mm-hmm.
who must respond to me using their voices. Okay, and then
Oh,
send me the answers. I will tick. Okay, so I know already.
okay.
So the next lesson, another group of students will be randomly asked. You see the stars,
Oh, I
different group,
see.
fair, so that at
Mm.
one point it will be. That's how I track the work. So for both my classes, I have my Telegram
Mm-hmm.
as proof of their work. I have email, I have folders in my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever they send back the work, I save them in my laptop, in my folders. And then I also have this paper. Sometimes I will, snap a picture and tell them. So there are three ways, actually, three different platforms for me to actually keep track of my students. So I know
Ah,
exactly whether they have actually done their work or not. Okay,
I
You
see.
whether
you you say you share the picture of that tracking with your students also.
once I think once or twice I snap a picture,
Mm.
say hi guys, some of
Okay.
you have not, okay,
Yeah,
this is like
yeah,
just for
yeah, yeah,
fun.
yeah. Yeah.
But they
Accountability.
know they know that I'm track. They know that because after the first MCO, I brought back the whole pile. It's like this very thick pile. I went back to school and showed them. I
Mm-hmm.
said, guys, you see, I show them. Okay, because there's one guy, Naim, he was always absent, and he was always
Oh,
sending his work late. So I sort of like,
mm-hmm.
I just show the class, you see, I keep track of everything you do. Okay, whoever was absent,
Mm.
whoever went to the educator on whichever day. So the students actually knew that I was very
Teachers.
concerned
Yeah.
with them.
Mm.
So I still continue to do the same. So I have no
Yeah.
issues, even if my initially, just for your information, when we started in March, it was very chaotic in my school. Yeah, it was chaotic, and we did not really link. You know, the school did not really link with us. So who is teaching what? We didn't have a timetable. So for that
Yeah.
almost 1 month, in March, I was just
Yes.
teaching. In fact, I taught every day. For
Yes.
that time was my number six. So I taught every day, and
Yeah.
then I will ask my students, guys, are your other teachers giving you a lot of assignment as well? So I don't want to overwhelm you. And
Yeah. Yeah.
some of my girl, she was very honest with me. Teacher, you're the most hardworking one, because the other teachers don't give us, like KK, we have to do KK for Form 6, right? I said, but I thought KK is like a 3-month thing, isn't it? Like you're given 3 months to do your work. So that is not like your online classes. So then
What
only I found out that 1 month,
co-curriculum?
the, yeah, the teachers were not really teaching.
Yeah.
They will just
Yeah.
say, "Okay, just do your KK, just do your KK," only later my school, my administrator realized that we really need to coordinate, so that there's no
Mm.
overlap. So
Yeah.
only after that, after April, we started getting this
Mm.
timetable. Mm.
Mm.
So
Right.
Mm.
So
Mm.
what is
like educating.
what is KK?
Yeah.
What is KK?
Uh, uh, Kerja kursus
Oh,
assignment. Yeah,
Oh,
they have kerja
I
kursus.
see.
They have to do assignment. Yeah, it's a real
Mm.
process, a real assignment, as like you do it in university. You have to come up with your
Oh,
proposal, your timeline for your
okay.
work. Yeah, a
Mm.
lot of work for them. So the teachers
Wow.
normally they get about 2 or 3 months to do one assignment. For let's say PA, they have 2 months to do it. So I said, okay,
Oh,
during the MCO, okay, that's 2 months, but that is like even before the MCO, you are supposed to be doing that already, right? So
yeah,
online
yeah.
classes, yeah. So the
Mm.
girl just told me, teacher, you're the most hardworking one, teacher, among all our teachers in the class, because you're the only one teaching us every day. Oh, really? Like I didn't know that. So
Yeah, because initially it was such like it was like unforeseen, right? So like the whole school also like didn't know like what to do and things like that. Like PPD, GPN also no whatever like
yeah,
so
all caught like it's like
yeah,
all
because they
stunned,
were like,
isn't it?
what
Everybody
do
was
we
stunned.
do?
I don't know what to do.
So
All like glaba glaba. They said really maglaba glaba.
yeah,
But
and it was just
time
after
shouldn't
school
be.
holiday, right? So I was
Yeah,
like telling my kids like, no, we should follow like the usual schedule, like you go according to your
yeah,
timetable. So whenever there's
yeah. I
English,
also
then
did
we have
that.
to attend online classes. So that's what I did with my kids also. But then other teachers also gave them work, but then gave them like workbook. So like
Uh,
because my school culture we have like workbook for each subject, so they have to like work on their workbook. So yeah,
and
some
then
of the
how do they
teachers
send in the work?
no idea. But yeah, they were telling me that they've been given assignments to like do work. So that was the beginning. So beginning there were like I think they could check on their own for their worksheets because those are past year questions compiled like those past year questions workbook. Then
Ah, oh,
afterwards
okay, okay. They have the
then only
answers there already.
yeah
So
then
that means the
afterwards
teachers don't have to.
mm,
The teachers don't have to check the work. The teachers don't have to mark or assess the work. In that sense.
Yeah, not quite sure. I forgot what their feedback was, but they told me that other teachers gave them work as well.
mm,
But as for me, during that time, yeah, I started using Google Doc, but then yeah, like I've just mentioned, like it was quite decentralized, and then I kind of improved on that. So now I use heavily on Google Doc, and kids are more accustomed to it already. So they know like they could send in like this template and this is the way and this is my email and we use like Google Classroom. So how I track their progress is initially I just snapshot about their attendance and then I use like physical one like something similar as Madam Mok but a bit more messy, not very organized. I'll take their attendance. I'll get the class monitor to take their attendance and then they'll tell me like who's absent on that day. Then
mm,
afterwards, I'll jot down, and then I think it goes back to what I've learned during my fellowship as well, which is data drives instruction. So sometimes, like after they get to go back to school, right? When they fail to kind of not really failed, like they show a bit of like deterioration in their work, then I'll be like checking in their past like progress, like, oh, this work you haven't done, so perhaps is it why that you're not keeping up with the progress? So the kid will be like, oh yes, teacher, actually, yeah, it's like a self evaluation for them as well. And
Mm.
then now it's slightly better because in the sense of like everything I made them personalized sheet as well using Excel, Google Sheet. So every time they will key in their what do you call the exercise, the formative exercise, every time after our lesson for online. So now we have online hour and also offline hour. So during the online hour, when I gave them exercises, discuss with them, afterwards I'll ask them to answer exit ticket. Then I'll generate the Excel sheet. Then I'll transfer the marks into their classroom one. So I track using that. But similar like Madam Mok also tracking using several different platforms lah, like our chat groups still have like according to the responses. But then work wise is more generally on the Google form nowadays, and also Google Doc, which I find is quite structured for me now that I get to pick like yeah get the system now with the
Mm.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I think the
Right.
students are used to my using Telegram, and then I send them soft copies. Even for
Mm,
listening, I
mm,
send them soft copies of
mm,
the audio in parts,
yeah,
small parts
yeah,
with the questions.
yeah,
I think they're quite comfortable with all this. And then
yeah. I
by
think
the I always get my work back. So and every
yeah.
time so you notice that the ticks are all like full, yeah. So both my
Mm,
classes,
mm,
like the
mm,
second MCO, I think
mm, mm,
everyone is doing their work. Everyone is
yeah.
responding. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone. I think the students are now more. Um, they realize that an MCO can happen again because they
Yeah.
had it the first time. And then when they came back to
Mm.
school, they were very happy. And then suddenly this thing happened again. So
Mm.
they
Mm.
know that this is no more time for fooling around lah. I think these
Mm.
Form 6 students because they're taking the exam, even though it's like postponed to next year, yeah,
Yeah.
next March, poor thing. So I think they are more aware now of
Mm.
the problems that they are facing in learning.
Mm.
So they're more serious. They're more serious.
Yeah.
They come to my class. That's why I get 100%. So I noticed the school. The school we have this Google form as well for kehadiran. Yeah. So when I
Mm.
Oh
double
yes.
check,
Oh,
when I double check,
oh.
my
Madam Mok, yours
colleagues are
also
always
for
yeah.
states, is it? Every time after
Yes.
our class, we have to key in, right? So there are
Yes.
three things that we need to do now: the state one, the school one, and also the online learning one. Three things. Are you using the CIDS also?
No, we
The
are
online
using that
online learning.
PDPR, the
Oh,
JPN PDPR, and then we are
PDBR,
using
yes,
my
that
school
one.
Google form. Yeah, the school Google
Oh,
form. Okay, but
oh.
for the JPN PDPR, they want us
Mm-hmm.
to keep in like for every class, right?
Yes,
So if
yes,
I
every
have
class.
combination of three classes, I have to
Yes.
report three
Three
times.
forms. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Six
Yeah.
times.
Doing same thing for like numerous
Yeah,
times.
but
Dude, that's
now
crazy.
NUTP, NUTP is actually raising the issue already. I think teachers have
Yeah.
already complained to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Uh, Harry Tan, the SU, he is
Mm.
actually my senior in college. We are in the same
Mm.
WhatsApp group. Yeah. So people have been telling him already, hello, come on, what's happening? Like, we are really overwhelmed, and that they
Yeah.
cannot come up with a proper system where, why can't you just let teachers have combined classes and just tell you how many students attended their class? That's all. But this one is like,
Mm.
and the worst thing is, Sintong, one of my colleagues is teaching science classes. Okay,
Uh-huh.
his MUET classes, there are
Uh-huh.
actually 5 classes in one.
Oh my
He has
goodness.
5 classes in one class. They're
Oh
all from A,
dear.
B, C, F, G. Okay, they're all in that.
Mm.
Can you imagine? So every day after our MUET class, he has to
Mm.
send
Like at
in
least 1 hour have
five.
to like spend in like your submit another one, submit another one.
Yes, 5 times for that. And then for school, we also
Oh,
have our Google form because the school
oh,
wants the record also. So he has that
oh.
6. then on Wednesday we have 2 periods. Okay,
Oh my
that means you have
goodness.
12 on Wednesday.
Oh my
Can you
gosh.
imagine how
A
horrible
quarter
these
of the
people
time
are?
already spent like just following up, like keeping track of us doing. Uh,
I think the
the teacher
Trian
is
and
not
the
working.
JPN, they have trust issues. They have trust
Mm,
issues, and
mm,
Mm,
it's actually probably the fault of teachers as well, because
yeah,
some teachers don't do their work. So because of
yeah,
a few bad
mm,
apples, so there is no, like that's why there's no trust issues.
mm,
mm,
Suddenly the
mm,
JPN think that, because they have children in school as well, these JPN
yeah,
officers, right? So
yeah,
if they
yeah,
know teachers are not doing the job for their own
mm,
kids, of course,
yeah,
then they'll make all the teachers do it. So now
yeah,
because of a few bad apples, we can say
mm,
that, okay, hello, we know what integrity is. Okay, we know what
yeah,
responsibilities are. But then
yeah,
we just can't say anything, because
yeah.
that's a scenario
You can't take that
when
all,
you
you know.
have a few bad
Yeah,
apples spoiling everything. So now we have this stupid
I
reports that are
know,
basically useless. Yeah,
I know.
they just
Oh
useless. Yeah,
goodness.
now
horrible.
I'm slightly thankful that I've already left teaching.
Well, okay lah. This is just one of the downsides lah. But
Yeah,
then,
yeah, yeah.
mm,
I know. I think this is not a teaching and learning problem. This is a
yeah,
systemic problem.
this
This
is
is a
the yeah, yeah,
organization
Yeah.
problem.
So I say
So
like trust issues. They don't trust
correct,
us.
correct,
They
correct.
don't trust
Because
teachers. They think that we are
um,
all going to cheat. We are cheaters and
yeah,
not teachers. Oh
yeah.
my god.
So they,
mm,
for me, I just feel like uh, how you would behave to the teacher would be how the teacher would behave to the students as well a lot of the time, because you're role
Mm,
modeling how you're assessing schools, you're role modeling how you're assessing teachers, right? So then teachers also think,
mm,
oh, okay, have to be this, like have to be a lot of reports, so students will have to like submit this, submit that. So it could be a thing lah. So if you do model personalized assessment, perhaps, to schools and teachers, let schools have their own autonomy to on
yeah,
how they want to deliver, or like the head teacher to then just discuss with teachers, okay, I'm going to assess you like this.
yeah,
So as long as I can prove that I'm doing something, so then now we would go into the I guess one of my other question as well. So what is actually
yeah.
the goal of education? So and how do you think schools, if let's say we do give schools or teachers their own autonomy to prove that, oh, I've already done this, so what is actually the goal that you need to prove? Okay, I've already achieved this, so leave me to what I do best, kind of thing. So yeah, so what do you think, or have the perspective changed in terms of what the goal of education or implementation is?
But the thing is, because we have a centralized public exam, like STTM
mm,
is centralized, SPM,
mm,
all these
mm,
are centralized. So you actually can't have teachers, having autonomy to do what they like. Somehow
yeah,
you have
Correct.
together and everybody follow a particular syllabus. Otherwise,
yeah,
you're not gearing your students towards the public exam. So
yeah,
long
Yeah,
as yeah,
but that
so
is
long
that.
as you have this, yeah.
But then,
Yes, Jane.
no, that just means that what you're saying is the goal of our education is exam centered. Your goal
I
is
mean,
to
so
pass your
far it has
exams.
been like that,
Yeah,
unless
yeah.
they change it. So if they
Mm.
change it, then only you can talk about giving autonomy to teachers, like
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
schools and
Correct.
to teachers into
So
districts, or
then
different types of schools.
yes.
It,
So
it
I
takes
know
like
moment
a
is different.
major overwhelm, over what do you call that? You know, if they really want to go to that direction, Juin, then
Mm,
it has to come right from the top, and somebody who is courageous enough to do
mm,
that. So
mm.
far, no, because youths are asking for results. Okay, the
Yeah,
student said,
yeah.
okay, if you don't have
mm,
certain
Yeah,
results,
yeah,
if you don't have
yeah.
band three,
Yes,
you
you do.
cannot take. Yeah, if you
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have
yeah,
a band two, you cannot take TESOL. So how?
Mm,
How can you
correct,
Yeah.
mm.
correct,
So it somehow we are still exam oriented, because
So
yeah,
every
what about what about
it's
the
about result.
implementation for no? What about the implementation for like the classroom-based assessment, the one that they were trying to
mm,
go for? Now that they've abolished year one to year three, no exam. UPSR kind of like nearly gone as well. Then they're trying to change PT3 to a lot more like project-based assessment, or like school-based assessment as well. But then
mm,
That's
ultimately,
what
when it comes you still have a centralized exam.
the teachers are given a lot of leeway now to do what they like, but they still have some syllabus to follow, so you can just work around that. I'm perhaps. I think some creative teachers also would add additional things if they have already finished the syllabus with the students.
Yeah. Mm.
So I think it's okay. But the moment they come to Form 5 and the moment they come to Form 6, now they're back to exam again. They're back to exam. Okay. I remember recently there was our Dato Habibah, our KPM. It was on TV3. She mentioned something about, because the moderator asked her whether there are other ways to assess SPM, right? Because of the pandemic, because of this, they have postponed the test and all that. Then she said no. From her own mouth, she said no, because SPM is on par with O level. STPM is on par with A level. So these two are, they cannot have any other type of assessment in order to gauge the students' proficiency level and award them the certificate that is recognized. So you see, ultimately, it's back to exam also, Juin. It's still back to exam. You see, you say you're not exam and you can't unless something with the O
Correct.
level and the A level.
Yes,
You see?
yes.
I guess
Yeah.
what
So how-
Madam Mok is trying to
Yeah,
say,
because that non-exam and exam. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's I don't know. We don't see a real picture also, right? Sinto, there's this gray area that we dare not tread, right? We don't know where we are.
But I think the education, like our ministry is trying to work towards like, because assessment there are like two kinds, right? Like the summative and also the formative.
Yeah.
Like in the past, it's more heavily emphasized on like summative, in the sense like, oh, it's really like being emphasized on like you have to like perform in your UPSR, you have to perform in your PMR, SPM, STPM, in order for you to like enter the university that you would like to enter or not.
Yeah.
But slowly, I think there's a trend of like steering slightly away from the heavy emphasis of like classroom based ones, and like the emphasis on like TVET education, like slowly gaining more recognition from the government, I think, allocation of funding and things like that. But then like it's not fair for the kids, like what Madam Mok mentioned just now, right? Because we wanted to like our goal of education, like to develop a holistic student, right? Which is like should be a well-rounded one. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, they still have to like face the academic, the written one, the written assessment. So
Yeah.
I think the summative part is okay, but perhaps the ways of like assessing, which CFR is gearing towards now also, like similar with MUET. I'm not quite sure whether that could give like a difference in like the assessment, but I think that breaking down like to reading, writing, listening, speaking, it's one of the ways that could, I don't know, perhaps improve on the types of like assessment that they are giving, and perhaps in the future, perhaps they could find out like, oh, actually, this could work. And then with the work of like teachers, the cooperation of teachers, like the integrity of teachers, because if let's say assessment is based on teachers, like classroom based assessments, right? So teachers have to like work creatively also and innovatively on how to like assess students individually. Yeah. So that's what I think lah. But then like
You see,
right
when we
now,
talk about CFR, if you're talking
yeah,
about CFR alignment, it's basically only for the
mm,
languages. What about
yeah,
others?
yeah.
What about math, science, and chemistry and all that?
Perhaps they
Ultimately,
could come out with
they still,
project based
they
in the
still need
future.
the academic results to enter
Yeah, yeah,
university, right? You want to go and pursue a
yeah,
course in chemical engineering, so you need your maths, you need your ed maths. So
yeah, yes,
ultimately,
correct,
it's
correct.
not just about CFR. CFR is just language.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
see?
yeah. Yeah. But
So
perhaps
Yeah.
it's one of the ways of like, the methods being used in CAFR that could perhaps, transfer to like cross curricularly, that they could use like project based also to gauge like, oh, how well can you like apply some of the methods or some of the theories that you've learned in your science or your maths to create a project for to
that would be
enable
like
you. you know.
I think that's an uphill task, lah. Uphill task.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah, yeah,
because yeah, so far the teachers and the students have been
yeah.
trained to,
Yes, yes,
like rote
yes. That's
learning,
the way
rote
that we are accustomed to
regurgitating.
already.
Yes, nothing like
Mm.
what they're doing in other countries like Finland and all that, right? It's somehow we
Yeah.
just cannot accept the fact that students have no exams. That teachers assess them in school. You ask the parents who are teachers who are parents, they will tell you that, saya rasa tak sedap lah anak saya tak ada periksa, macam main saja di sekolah, macam main tak ada apa, they themselves, my colleagues themselves are
But it's
lamenting that
sad
the
though.
students.
Education's not supposed to be that way. Like you can learn through playing as well. You know?
Yeah, but the parents,
Yeah,
the
that's it.
mindset is such that
Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah. I
you show
understand, Madam.
results. How good are you?
Yes, yes, yes.
How good
Very
is
hard
your
for us to
child
gauge,
compared to
right?
another child?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, 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 yes.
The sense that they want to
But
compare, and then the sense that they want
yeah,
to know the
yes,
level
yes,
of the
yes,
child. Okay,
yes, yes,
so
yes.
if you have
Yeah, yeah.
Sintong, you are giving a different level to your students. Your level 4 and my level 4 may not be the same,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, yes.
If
You still
we
have
don't
to have
have
a
a
small
common
house, right?
platform
Yeah,
to fit the band, so somehow that means there
yeah.
is still some kind of band for people to
Yes,
fit in. You see,
yes, yes.
ultimately, it goes back to assessment. It goes back. You
Yes,
can't say
yes.
like, oh, let's just
Okay.
learn for fun and then go through life.
Yeah,
No, you can't.
I agree, I
Yeah,
agree.
correct.
Okay.
This is the whole systemic societal change
Yeah,
in terms of
yeah.
quality education.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
Wow, we have been talking for 1 hour already. Yeah.
I know. See, it's such a
Nice.
it's such a
Yeah.
big thing to cover. Such a big topic to cover, and then we're trying to cover everything in like 1 hour. Like no lah, impossible. And we didn't even
Yeah.
go through all
Part
the questions.
two. Till
Yeah,
we continue.
had to do part two. Yeah, pull in Ayun also. Okay,
Okay.
so that's all the experiences that we had, and I'm sure there is more
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
as well. But I guess
Yeah.
okay, if
This
I
is
was
nice today, June. This is a nice chat. Yeah, Sintong.
yeah.
It's a nice
Yes,
chat. Yeah.
I learned a lot from you, Madam Mark.
Okay,
I learned a
so
lot from
then
you too.
just wanted to ask both of you then. So now that
Yeah.
you have gone through the roller coaster ride of
Mm.
one being forced into online learning, another one
Mm.
trying to struggle through blended learning, which somehow changed a little bit, and like your students are now in also in the part where they have to be part of. It's a two-way thing, right? So now they have to
Mm.
also meet you halfway. So would you see? Is there a specific preference you have in terms of how teaching from home or teaching in school has been for you, and would you be an advocate of a specific way of learning?
No,
Just now,
for
Madam
me,
Mark,
basically, no. I don't have a specific preference because I feel that as teachers, we really have to be adaptable and flexible.
Mm,
You can't say, no, I
mm,
want this way, I prefer this way. You
mm,
cannot say that,
mm,
So in
All
different
right.
situations, you don't have to have any preference. You just
yeah.
need to be adaptable,
Mm,
Mm,
adjust yourself,
mm.
learn new skills, and
Yes, yes,
despite your age, despite your age. Okay, so my
yes.
advice to fellow teachers who are like my age, who are retiring soon also,
Mm,
um, teaching is for life and learning is for life. We tell that to the students. We tell that
yes,
to ourselves too, right?
yes, yes,
So
yes.
yeah, when it comes to teaching, there are 101 ways to teach, and there are 101 ways to learn. So it's this whole learning process that change. Just be adaptable. You don't need to
Mm,
have any preference, and just do your best in any way that you are forced into. Just do it. Just do it. Okay, that's my my response to you, Juin.
all right. Tong, anything to add to that?
uh, well, you should let me start first. Oh, Madam Mark ended it so well. I was like, oh, okay. But I do agree that because teachers at the end of the day, our main concern is our kids, right? So we should actually try to cater to what our kids need. That's why I was struggling
Yeah.
as well, so much. So but I do think that like what just now earlier we discussed, like it could be nice, like in the future, right? There'll be like this like blended learning that could happen, like
Yeah,
more frequently. Yeah. So yeah.
yeah.
Basically, Madam covers everything
Like
already. Ah, yeah. Nice.
yeah,
Thank
it's
you
like
very much.
maybe they
I'll
go
remember
3 days. They go to school for 3 days, and then they stay home for 2 days, and then we have this
that. Yeah. It
online
could
learning.
train
Days.
it could train,
Nice.
yeah, and our own
Oh,
self-discipline also, right? To like plan things because
yeah.
it's more flexible that way again. Yeah.
Yes. That
It'd
would
be
be
Guess
nice.
what?
nice. Yeah. So
That's what that might be a good practice as well, because even at work right now in the corporate industry,
yeah.
we are also thinking about whether we should it be 3 day work from home and then 2 days work in the office. Oh no, only go into the office when you need specific physically need to be there for a meeting so that we can whiteboard everything, so that it's fast. But for everything else, you can check your emails
For
from
school,
home.
Why not do the same for school, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
then you basically just let them practice going into society, because once you get into
Yeah.
work, it'll also be like that.
That's the
Yes,
case.
yes.
That's how you're going to
Yeah.
work later.
It could be in
Yeah.
sync, right? Yeah.
Itulah. And like
Okay.
what mommy, you were saying in terms of adaptability, I learned this word when I was in, I was in a conference, a workshop as well. So then this
What the
facilitator mentioned, so the facilitator mentioned the word that as a teacher, our responsibility should actually be responsibility should actually be responsibility. So ability to be able to respond to
Okay.
everything.
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
I was like listening, doing what your facilitator advised, right?
Yeah, correct. So your responsibility is to have
Yeah.
responsibility. So
Yes.
and that
just
goes
respond.
across. Correct. That goes across everything, which is like whether you have to suddenly go into online learning, yes, go ahead. Suddenly need to use a new platform, yes, go ahead. Suddenly need to
True.
deal with this naughty kid, yes, go ahead. So it's all responsibility, because you would also then
Yeah,
quickly assess
correct.
the intervention, whatnot, right? So all these are
You know, even
response.
remember we were lamenting about that PDPR, Google form, that JPNT one. Okay, the
Yes,
JPN one. Yeah.
yes.
Apparently,
Yes.
it was started. It was started by JPN Terengganu. Apparently, because these people are very good.
Oh,
Oh,
People
name
are very
dropping.
good.
you
And
know, like,
it was adopted at a higher level, and then the
oh,
whole
I
country has to use
see.
it. That's what I
No
heard.
wonder,
Okay.
no wonder
Yeah.
our principal was like suddenly like, oh, there's this taklimat that has to be delivered today because by today it's going to be implemented. Everyone has to fill in the form. So all the teachers like in the evening after meeting like 5 o'clock, right? Have to like
Ah.
key in all the.
ah, ah.
I
So,
see.
so you see, despite this, I still key
Yeah.
in. I
Yes.
still key in. It's like, oh,
Yes.
okay, fine.
They're very
Because
responsible.
for me, I personally, I always believe that if you
Yes.
want to be a good leader, you have to be a
Yes.
good follower too. Because if
Yes. Yes.
someone else is at the top, you have to give the support. You have no choice. You don't just go and rebel. You just do it.
Yeah.
Never mind. It takes a bit
But
of
we have to
time, but you
provide.
can complain
But we have
about
to
it
provide
later.
feedback also.
Yes, you
There's
can
always
provide
room
feedback
for
to someone
improvement.
else to improve on it. Yes. Please
Yes.
improve on it. I will do it for
Yes.
you, but you improve on it. And
Yes.
that's the
Correct.
negotiation part, as teachers.
Correct.
So
Correct.
just be positive lah. You otherwise you won't last. You won't
Yeah.
last your whole lifetime in school because you have so many problems that you are complaining
Yeah.
about, right? So don't
Yes.
complain. Like you say,
Yes.
Juin, respond to it. Respond
Yeah.
positively.
Yes.
Find ways around it, okay,
Yeah.
and make students happy, like you say, Sintong. Ultimately, it's our students, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
all think about the
Okay.
students. That's why we are willing to
Mm.
sacrifice the time and
Mm.
money and energy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that
For
led into, Madam Bob, Mummy, your parting words before we end. So Tong, anything to say perhaps to yourself, or even to like if anyone else is also struggling through this kind of things, or any parting words you would like to share before we end this conversation?
Mm. Oh, I think one thing that I would like to like share is to know that we are not working like alone. We are not
uh,
alone in this community. Like feel free to reach out more as compared to like the past MCO with now. I think the ability to reach out more is much more helpful, because previously I thought that, ranting or like finding ways by myself is not very helpful, because I would think that I burden other people or my colleagues, because they would have like the same struggles like I do. But actually, it's just a platform for us to, like, bounce off ideas and like perhaps brainstorming when we give our challenges or like our suggestions, right? And then also, like, another thing that I would like to remind my past self would like to remind my future self is to be more disciplined, because I think this time around I lack of exercise in terms of so yes, I think exercising, especially like working from home, like we have to like sit in front of like gadgets like for hours, right? It's actually not very good for us like in the long run. So I think the important part is to keep ourselves like healthy mentally and also physically. Yeah.
That's good. And I just think I myself, I would just like to add that it is okay to reset yourself. I think everything starts with awareness of yourself, awareness of your students, and then if you are aware that you are struggling, and then you need time to breathe, and then just, you know what, let me take 2 days off, take one day to calm down, and take the other day to just to rethink about what I need to do. I think you should do so, because I think investment of that time would then help in terms of the long term. Okay, after that you already have the system. Whereas if you have never started with the system and you kept struggling through all the time, then it's actually quite draining, right? Yeah. So yeah, responsibility, people. So respond to yourself too. Be kind.
Okay.
Okay, I'll end the broadcast here. Thank you, everyone. This is my
Thank you
conclusion.
very much. Thank
Rather
you,
than educate
Jane.
school or from home, it's actually in school and from home. Hopefully, that's what we can go to in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I'll end the
Thank
broadcast
you.
here.
Yeah.
Thank
Bye.
you.